Hello and welcome to Meet the Candidates 2018, a voter education program sponsored by the Shakopee Chamber and Visitors Bureau. My name is Rob O'Neill and I'm joined today by Sheriff Luke Hennen. Sheriff Hennen, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And we'd like for you to start today by giving our viewers an idea about who you are and why you're running.
All right. Well, as a lifelong resident of Scott County, I knew at an early age I wanted to serve in this community and make it a better place, not only for myself, but for everybody that lives in Scott County. So today I seek the public's endorsement of these intentions to make it a place that's a safe community to live, work, and play in. And I started the Sheriff's Office over 21 years ago. I began at the bottom working in the jail, in the county jail, and worked my way up as a detective, a deputy, a sergeant, and later the chief deputy. And during that time I obtained some education. I got my bachelor's degree in law enforcement, and then I also got a master's in public administration through Minnesota State University in Mankato. And from that time on, about 2 years ago, I was appointed as the county sheriff. There's a vacancy at that time with the retirement of Sheriff Sidnicka, and our elected board of commissioners had to fill that vacancy, and they chose me as the most experienced candidate to fill that role till the election, which is occurring this year. All these experiences over 21 years in the Sheriff's Office really taught me a lot about the complex role that the sheriff serves in, because it's much more than just deputies driving out on patrol in squad cars. That's really only 13% of our 170 employees. The sheriff has responsibilities to maintain a county jail, oversee a countywide 911 dispatch center, handle emergency management, boat patrol, courthouse security, as well as issuing gun permits. And when I'm not at work, you'll find me active in the community as a Jordan Lion, a Shakopee Rotarian, and also serving in the Scott County Agricultural Society. My wife and I live in the city of Jordan with our daughters Audra and Lucille. And if you want to learn more about my campaign, you can go to my website, electhennen.com.
Well, Sheriff Hennen, we hear a lot about an opioid epidemic in our country, that the use of opioids is actually out of control. How big is the opioid problem in Scott County, and what do we need to do to address that problem?
The opioid abuse issue in Scott County is very similar to our region, so I wouldn't say it's any worse or less than in the general area, but it's also more in your face because people die from overdoses. People that are addicted to opioids may be your neighbor, not the person you typically think of or visualize somebody that'd be maybe a heroin addict or somebody shooting a needle in their arm, but they're going to be people that maybe had a dental procedure or a medical procedure and got addicted to the pills, and that led them to other issues in life. So as I sit on the board of directors with the Southwest Metro Drug Task Force, I'm able to see how this plays out in our community and what we're doing on enforcement. I know that methamphetamine and cocaine use is still there and going up, but this opioid issue is more in our face, but also more preventable. So I currently co-chair the Scott County Drug Prevention Task Force. And I sit on this board with the County Attorney Ron Hocevar, and we work on how do we do prevention. So we bring education into our schools to get our children educated on better decision making and how they can avoid these addictions in their future. But we also fund the Take It to the Box program, which is a medication disposal program that allows people to dispose of medications, get them out of their houses and out of the hands of potential users or children in our community. The next piece I work on and I collaborate with is our deputies and our jail staff work with the drug treatment court. And that started almost 2 years ago in Scott County, and it's a way to treat addicts and get them off their addiction versus keeping them in our criminal justice system. And I find that to be an effective way to change the course for some of these people's lives and get them back on the right foot. And then lastly, all of our deputies and jail staff have been issued naloxone, which is the drug or the agent that counteracts an overdose. And this will allow them to save lives in the community as well as their own if they were exposed to some of the synthetic dangerous opioids that are out there.
Well, we find ourselves right now in the middle of an election for the sheriff's office. Do you believe that the sheriff's position should be an elected or an appointed position, and why?
I firmly believe it should be an elected position. Currently in our country, over 98% of the jurisdictions that have elected county sheriffs as their way of doing business. And in our state, that is how it is run as well, where all the sheriffs are currently elected in 87 counties. And I do think it's important. When you look at our current condition of the law enforcement and issues with community relations and trust, An elected sheriff is a direct connection to the community. So if they have issues with public safety or the performance of public safety, they go straight to the sheriff. They don't have to work through a city council or a county commissioner or that type of direction or policy setting. A county sheriff can shift course and make sure we're being responsive to those needs. In my position, I was appointed, and that happened because there was a vacancy. And that happens throughout the state. It's actually pretty common. And there's a procedure for that. There's a state law that prescribes that the county board, who are elected officials, we elect them to serve us and make decisions. And our county board made a decision 2 years ago to fill that vacancy as prescribed by the law and to appoint me. They chose me after a healthy debate as the most qualified person. And I believe in the last 2 years I've maintained their trust and proven to them that I was able to do that job. And I look forward to November now with an election to have the voters affirm that and say that my performance is what they expect and to keep me in the office.
The sheriff's position is also a very highly administrative position. As you've already mentioned, the sheriff oversees a large staff. What do you think is the most important skill that a sheriff needs to succeed in that kind of administrative role? And if elected, how do you manage the demands of that role, including the recruiting and retaining of top staff?
I think the biggest piece to running the sheriff's office is relationships. So I've spent over 21 years working at the sheriff's office, working alongside the people that do this work, alongside the people in our jail, our deputies, our detectives. I oversaw our boat and water patrol. I have experience, and therefore I have trust with the employees that do these jobs, and that helps me make decisions and also helps me support them. They need the right tools and equipment to do their job safely, and working in the sheriff's office and have those relationships helps me accomplish that. Along with that, by being at the county for so long, I have relationships with the county board, the county administration, and the other county departments that we interface with, and all of that takes time to build relationships and trust, and that's what helps with a lot of the collaboration I do. When we look at recruiting, we've been very lucky. We find good people that are willing to come in this community and serve and provide awesome customer service, and it's been going well, but we need to keep working on that. It's a constant. As you know, there's low unemployment in this area, but by seeking out and running a professional organization, we continue to find great people to serve our county.
The county board has recently been discussing the costs associated with running the jail. What are specific ideas that you have about ways to contain costs for jail operations without jeopardizing public safety?
Yeah, it's a great question. The jail is a large portion of my budget. About 38% of the sheriff's office budget is running a jail. We know that it costs over $130 a day to house an inmate. So the goal is, how do you keep the right people in jail but also contain those costs and slow down the growth of the inmate population. Last year we had approximately 147 people in custody each day. So that cost is very large. But as we look at initiatives across the county, decriminalizing mental illness is a big issue. When you look at the amount of our population in any county jail is 40 to 50% suffering from mental illness. How do we put money into those resources up front, keep people out of our criminal justice system, save the taxpayers money, and provide a better and more humane way to treat our citizens? With that, the drug treatment court is another big piece to that. Treating addicts and treating the addiction can keep some of these people out of jail and lead them to be productive members of our society and also save costs. And then lastly, the biggest function of running a jail is understanding, back to my experience working in the jail, is understanding how it is impacted by the other systems. So it's not just myself and the sheriff's office staff trying to figure out how to cut corners, how to save money, but understanding how all the systems interact. So one big issue we have currently is our courthouse is very in a heavy caseload. So there's 6 judges assigned to our area, but their caseload is about 6.7 is what they're rated. So therefore there's a backlog. So we may send over a group of inmates to be seen by judges, and maybe a third of them don't get seen that day. So that pushes it back to the next day, and week after week you have people in jail for additional days because of the efficiencies or lack of efficiencies at the courthouse. So I've been working with the county board and the county administration, and they currently have plans to build a new office building at the government center complex that would bring to us more courtrooms that would help with that efficiencies, and that'll be a direct correlation to some of our inmate needs.
Well, as you think about where the sheriff's office is right now, how would you assess the current status of how the sheriff's office is doing? And if elected, would you kind of maintain the same direction, or would you change course?
I think we'll keep on the same course. I think we're doing well. We have a very professional team of staff and volunteers that fulfill the needs of the community. They're very dedicated to crime prevention and community engagement and making it a better community to live in. And I think we're on the right track. As always, we'll keep making adjustments to do a better job and adjust with the needs of our community. But our employees go out of their way to provide amazing customer service. Every time they answer a 911 call, every time they respond to an emergency, they patrol our lakes or waterways, deal with a difficult inmate in our jail, keep security at our courthouse, or even issuing gun permits. They do that with the utmost respect and courtesy to the community, and they do a great job and receive a lot of compliments about their work.
Well, thank you, Sheriff Hennen, for your time today. Thank you for watching this episode of Meet the Candidates 2018. Two reminders. First of all, don't forget that the views expressed in Meet the Candidates are those of the candidates themselves, not those of the Chamber and Visitors Bureau. This is provided as a service to you, the voters of Shakopee, to help you make informed decisions when you go to the ballot box. Don't forget as well that Election Day is Tuesday, November 6th. We hope that you will vote. Have a great day.